Hello friends, welcome. It's another one of our Slant Alpha adventures getting underway, and truly Slant Alpha this evening, although we are not often truly Slant Alpha anymore on this channel, but we are tonight. We're in the A2A Simulations Piper Comanche, resuming our river run, our trip up the Yukon River, up in Alaska, well, Yukon Territory and then Alaska, although tonight we start from the first U.S. stop, and we'll be in Alaska for the rest of this journey. Another probably 6 episodes that'll take us out to the Bering Sea. Welcome, friends. We're live from Studio 5 just outside of Ocean City, Maryland, and we're saying hi to Rookie 31st and Kenny Monster. Stopped in, gonna put in a mic drop of a landing stat and says, gotta go, I'll be back later. All right, very good. We'll talk to you soon. But, yeah, welcome, friends. This is the A2A Simulations Piper Comanche, and this is the 5th season of this series within the stream that we call River Run. We do it a couple times a month if we can. I actually we were going to do it twice in June, and I actually bumped the second one back to July. We've shuffled some stuff around the stream. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But what we do in our series called River Run is we choose a river, and we follow it from its origin to its... what do they call it? This from source to mouth. We follow it, and we break that up into a series of episodes, and we usually hit about 100 to 150 nautical miles per episode, and we stop at every charted airstrip that we find along the way, every paved or dirt or grass or gravel strip, whether it's public or private, whether it's as long as it's on the chart, we stop there. And how far off the river we wander to find some of these, I guess, is kind of, we take that on a case-by-case basis, but stick pretty close for the most part. But, if we see something interesting that's a little bit off of the water, we'll, kind of venture out. We're right along the water on all of our stops this evening. But this is our 5th one. We started with the Columbia River. Now, that one starts in Canada and it crosses into the U.S., and we picked it up right where it crosses from Canada into the U.S. The Yukon River here, we started right in its origin in Yukon Territory, Canada, and for tonight, we are starting from Eagle, Alaska. So just at the end of episode 2 of this 5th season, we crossed the international border, landed here at Eagle, Alaska, and as I mentioned before, the rest of our episodes, probably 6 more, will all take place in the U.S. The rest of the seasons, our previous seasons, we started in the U.S., and the Columbia River was really the only one that we had the option, I guess. Everything else that we've done had its source and mouth within the United States. Anyway, Season 1, Columbia River, again, we picked it up right from the international border, took it all the way out to the Pacific Ocean, right by Astoria, Oregon. Season 2 was the Susquehanna River. We picked that up right there by Lake Otsego, up by Cooperstown, New York. We followed that down through central New York, central Pennsylvania, central Maryland, and then that dumped out into the Chesapeake Bay, which we then followed all the way out to the Atlantic down in eastern Virginia. Season 3, we did the Mississippi, the mighty Mississippi, all the way from Bemidji, Minnesota, all the way down to the Gulf, right by New Orleans, Louisiana. Season 4, we did the Rio Grande, Castle Lake, Colorado, all the way out through southbound through Colorado and New Mexico, and then we picked up the Texas and Mexico border, followed that all the way out once again to the Gulf. So two seasons in a row ended basically in the same body of water, near the same, but we didn't land in the Gulf. We don't do this in the floatplane. We landed near the Gulf. Season 5 now, we started, and I keep messing it up. It's not Carmack, it was Carcross. There were 2 car-related names in our first episode. Carcross, Yukon Territory was where we started. And, like I said, we've got about 8 episodes plotted to get us out to the Bering Sea, and this will be episode number 3. We did have to do, as I mentioned, a little bit of stream shuffling, schedule shuffling, because I am going to have to miss Wednesday. I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, hey, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. That's our normal show schedule. And I jinxed it. I kept saying over and over again, oh my goodness, we're actually going to be on that schedule for the next few weeks. God bless, right? Well, had a last-minute obligation come up for Wednesday, so did have to drop Wednesday's stream. That's a true bummer, because that was going to be our return of the PMDG DC6. They just released an update for that makes it now compatible with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. We hadn't flown that since the beginning of the year, when we finally migrated from Flight Sim 2020 to Flight Sim 2024, and that was kind of the one that we were not, it wasn't ready to carry over. We carried over the Comanche, we carried over the Lear 35 from FlySimware, we carried over the Just Flight BAE 146. That was kind of the most recent one that came over, and then we carried the PMDG 737-800 series. So those are the 4 aircraft that have been in our hangar since we've migrated fully to Flight Sim 2024. Well, starting this month, we're back to 5. We do now have that vintage prop liner again, the PMDG DC6. So that was going to be coming back to you on Wednesday, although I had said that was going to be more of kind of a testing and configuration and control setup stream. Well, we had to drop that, and I'm going to push that back to a week from tonight, Monday. Tonight's the 1st, so we're going to push that back to Monday the 8th. However, we're going to go ahead and do a 2-hop flight in that, as I've been spending some time, half hour here, a half hour there, really setting it up and testing and configuring. So I'm really happy with where I have it. Matter of fact, I'm so it's really a huge bummer that I have to bump this back, because I'm so excited to show you what I've got in terms of the control setup. Of course, I'm now using SPAD.next. That's different than when I had it before. I was using FSUIPC7. Now that has a lot of the same capability in terms of kind of the conditional switching that you can do. Like, a switch does one thing if this other switch is in this position, but if that other switch is in a different position, then this switch now does something else. You can do that in FSUIPC7, but it's not intuitive. It's not a very user-friendly interface to set all that up. You kind of have to think like a programmer and almost code like a programmer in order to get those types of things, conditional things, set up in FSUIPC7. Well, in SPAD, it's very simple, very much a Windows graphic user interface, and point and click and add this under this window to make it a condition for this under this window, which is the action. So, it's very easy to use program. I wish I was paid by them to say all that. I'm not, but it's a fantastic add-on, and I highly recommend it in terms of being able to do a lot of the custom control setup. That really makes your flying a lot easier. It just occurred to me that I didn't check. Okay, this did automatically. So this is the thing. I had to check and make sure that it did automatically switch over to my Piper setup. I don't think I really checked that. Although, yeah, I did. I moved the levers back and forth to make sure they were all synced. So, yeah, I did check that. Anyway. But a great little program, great little add-on. Much more powerful to use and intuitive to use than the control setup within Flight Sim 2024 that allows you to do a lot of that conditional control assignment. And like I said, I'll show you on Monday how I have some of the controls in the PMDG setup, where I've really kind of eager to fly it now that I have a lot more stuff that will be at my fingertips. I won't have to fumble around with the mouse to get to some of those things that I did before. So I've still got a few things I'm trying to find and tweak, and maybe we'll do that on Monday, or maybe I have some time between now and then to get those last few things set up. Really, the autopilot functions are the last things that I want to try and get onto buttons and controls here on the Bravo. But yeah, looking forward to that on Monday. A couple of other program notes before we get rolling with our episode tonight. This Saturday, it's the Virtual USA Flying Club 4th Annual Virtual Air Show. And that is happening at 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. That's 1300 military time, and so add 1700 Zulu time. So 1700 Zulu, 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Saturday. That's June the 6th. The live stream is happening on the Jeffrey B channel. Actually, let me go ahead and put the link to that in the stream chat here, twitch.tv/JeffreyB, and I enunciate it a little funny because he spells it a little funny, JEFFORYB. So that's where the broadcast is going to be, 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Saturday. Now, 12:30, a half an hour in advance, you'll want to come over to this channel because we are going to be showing the in-cockpit view of the very first performance. And I'm going to go ahead and get the title screen started at 12:30. We'll come up out of the title screen about 12:40. I'm going to be part of a 5-ship formation that is going to be the first act in that air show. So you'll watch a little bit behind the scenes action here over on our channel as we get the planes powered up and then taxied out in sequence, and then we kind of take off in sequence and then join formation. You'll get that view from within the cockpit here on Saturday starting at 12:30 Eastern, 16:30 Zulu time, and then the broadcast itself starts at 1. I definitely encourage you to watch the main broadcast, but on a second screen or second tab or second window or what have you, definitely check out the in-cockpit view. It's, as I said, it's a 5-ship formation that I'm flying the number 4, the slot, so I'll have a great view of the 3 planes in front of me. There'll be a 5th one that's kind of trailing behind me, but you'll have a great view of the diamond formation there right from my screen, and we'll do my best to keep that formation nice and tight for you, but it's a challenge. It's a bear. We'll be flying the North American T6 Texan radial military trainer, and so it'll be 5 of those, and we got a few passes we're doing in formation, a few passes that we're doing in trail. I won't spoil too much, but it's going to be a really good show, really great act to kick off the virtual air show on Saturday. Should be a lot of fun, and like I said, I encourage you to join me here and watch the in-cockpit view, but definitely make sure you watch the full broadcast, the main broadcast. Jeffrey B. serves as the director, but also as the master of ceremonies. And if you've not seen his stream, he is a wild character, man. He's so funny. He's so I don't want to say flamboyant because that makes him sound kind of. Flamboyant can be borderline obnoxious. Jeffrey B. is not obnoxious, but he's definitely a big personality. Lots of fun to watch. And he serves as a great master of ceremonies. He throws in a lot of the silly pattern like you get in air shows with announcements about porta potties and announcements about Girl Scout cookies being sold around the premises and just anything else you can imagine that you would hear over the PA at a real air show. Jeffrey's got a parody version that he does as part of his hosting duties for the air show. So it's definitely worth checking out. Lots of great acts going to be performing, solo acts and formation acts performing for you on Saturday. And like I said, Jeffrey definitely keeps the broadcast going. So please do check that out. All right, finally, before we get our Comanche up and running, our slant artwork adventure for the evening. Our slant artwork adventure is a side project that we run during the stream. And basically what happens is we'd feed an image description into ChatGPT to have it create an image for us that is roughly representative of what's happening on our live stream that evening. And once I display it, you guys can then cash in 500 of the Twitch channel points, aka the Alphabets points. And then when I call your name after you've done that, you can suggest an addition or modification to that image. So basically you get to suggest what we can do to tweak or add to or modify the image description, and then we'll see what happens. And then through the course of the evening, it just gets progressively more and more, kind of silly and off the rails, which is the point. It's a point of it's to have fun. We start with an image that is just representative of what's happening on the stream tonight. So since we're going to end in Fort Yukon, which is just north of the Arctic Circle, we got me standing here by the Comanche as the sun just barely stays peaked above the horizon. So that's going to be our starting image here for our slant artwork adventure. And now that you've seen that, if you want to cash in 500 of the Twitch channel points, aka the Alphabets points there at the bottom of the chat panel, you've got the Alphabet serial icon that represents those. And then you've got the button next to that tells you how many you have. You can click on that, and Rookie 31st says, "Oh no, you'll get cold. You need a hat." All right, we'll put a hat on me. I will tell you though, Rookie, to be completely honest, where'd my mouse cursor go? To be completely honest, the temperature there right now, temperature 17 Celsius. That's what, mid-60s? I might not even wear a jacket in mid-60s, let alone a hat. But anyway, I'm sure it'll get chilly up there this evening. So we'll go ahead and take your advice. We'll get a hat on me. I'm going to leave that up to ChatGPT to decide what kind of hat. That Dave's with us as well. All right, well, let's go ahead and get the airplane started, guys. Or actually, we'll get it started, but we'll walk up to it, and yeah, we got to get our pre-flight done first. And this is one where you kind of do need to do a pretty thorough walk around. We'll go ahead and unlatch and get in, and we'll hop inside first. We're just going to open up windows, and we got to undo our control lock, and we'll open up the fuel valves, although I still have not figured out how to do the sump check on the main tanks in this aircraft. And then let's go ahead and start with a fuel load, A2A Comanche, fuel and payload. Yeah, we want to start with about 20 gallons on each side. I think that'll be plenty. Oops. Yeah, 20 on each side. Okay, very good. All right, so now as we do our walk around, we would kind of visually inspect and make sure that that is what we have. Matter of fact, this is probably the best position to do that in. I mean, we could kind of climb up and poke our head in there, crouch down. Yeah, and you want to poke your head in and make sure. So we know that 20 out of 30 is 2/3 full, so we can kind of see that it is indeed approximately 2/3 full just by the eyeball. If you want to really get paranoid about it, you can put a dipstick down there, yardstick, or whatever you have. That would show you in a measurable way, show you the level, and of course you kind of have to know what the shape of the tank is so that you understand like how high it should be on that yardstick when it's 2/3 full. But we know that it's 2/3 full, 20 out of 30 gallons, and I guess we have owned this plane long enough that we know that we can eyeball that from there. Grab the flat, make sure it's nice and secure, doesn't move. The aileron should be moving freely and should not rub or catch anywhere. Rookie says it's not visible with avatar view, but if you stay by the door on the other side, the active point is roughly under the seat. Stay by the door on the other side. Okay. Well, and there's not actually a door there, right? Oh, I'm sorry. The other thing that I wanted to do, we'll go ahead and run back inside here. And I used to do this in a different order with the old, with the 2020 version. It had a different walk-around system, so that's why I keep forgetting that. But we want to check all the lights as we go around as well. So Rookie 31st, I'll try to catch on to what you're saying there. But there's our cap, little knit cap there that we got on to stay warm. And where'd my... Okay, yeah, so here we are. So the nav light is, illuminate green. We don't have any fuel in the tip tanks. The landing light's definitely on. We'll go ahead and pull up the tie down and the wheel chocks. We already checked the fuel on this side, so we're good there. We want to check the front, make sure there's no obstructions or objects left in the fuel, air intake. Want to make sure the prop's in nice, good condition. Okay, so you said where the wing meets the door. Down here somewhere, right? Yeah, I don't know if I'm just not close enough. I'm not kind of finding the click spot here. You should do it on the other side? Okay, I'll try it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It's a good thing to check. But it looks like we're slightly... So, you like to see a nice light tan color, so that's good. It looks like we might be maybe a quart low. It's supposed to be 10 quarts, although when it's cold it'll read just above the 9. But that's looking like it's reading slightly below the 9. So we might go ahead and add a quart when we get back inside. Let me try just what you said in terms of, you said coming from the front. Is it this? Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm kind of. Oh, maybe. Oh, there you go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so this is what we want to do. We want to take a little. This is why you have to have the fuel valves open. So you want to take a little sample of the fuel from the bottom of the tank, and what happens is if there's water that gets into that tank, that water's going to settle to the bottom. So you take a little sample out of the bottom of the tank and make sure what you see is fuel and not water. If you do see water, well, then you keep pulling water out of there until you hit fuel. And when you do see fuel, you want to check to make sure that there's nothing obvious in terms of contamination or dirt or anything else floating around in there. Of course, also want to make sure, just as you did when you pop the cover here, make sure that it's the correct color and consistency for the type of fuel that you ordered. We can go ahead and dump that out, or really dump it back into the tank if it's good fuel. Well, you don't want to pour that all over the ground. Insensitive jerk. Well, Rookie, yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I've been looking for that for ages. Yeah, good. Now we can do that again on our walk around. If I remember. You'll have to remind me next time we fly the Comanche. But same on this side. You want to kind of poke your head down, make sure that it's the correct color and consistency. It looks like the level's about 2/3. All good there. And yeah, and we'll check the. We'll add a quart of oil when we get back inside. While we're over here, we can pull the wheel chocks, pull the tie down. Can I reach that from there? Nope, can't reach that from there. Oh, that must be like a trim tab or something. I'm not sure what that is. Landing lights on. Nav lights on. If you had fuel in the tip tank, you would do the same thing in terms of the sump check there that we did for the mains, but we don't have anything to do there. We want to grab the aileron, make sure that it doesn't actually have to stop yammering on for a second so I can hear it, because if you could hear it rubbing, catching, squeaking as you move it, you would know that there's something wrong there. But if I'm yapping along, I won't be able to hear that. And then the flap should be nice and secure, shouldn't move. We've got a static port on this side. We want to make sure that it's unobstructed. We'll come around to the back. We'll check our horizontal surface, make sure that it moves nice and freely. Pull up our last tie down. The vertical surface should move, but not as freely because it's also tied to the nose wheel steering. So we should have some resistance on that side. And then finally, we got the alternate static port over here that we want to make sure is also unobstructed. Finally, we go ahead and open up our storage compartment. Of course, all the wheel chocks and tie downs and stuff would go in there into the duffel bag. Into the duffel bag. Not the purse, the duffel bag. Open that up. Come on. There we go. Duffel bag, toolkit, small suitcase, and the rest of that stuff is not mine. So we'll go ahead and close that up. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we're ready. We can hop back into the aircraft now. We did say we wanted to add that extra quart. Of course, we'd have to retrieve that extra quart of oil and then go back into the fill cap. But from here, we'll do it from the tablet. Maintenance, engine. Yeah, 9 quarts, so we'll make it 10. There we go. And there we are. So the strobe light can come on. Oh, I did see the strobe light kind of flashing against the bottom pavement. I didn't really remark on it, and I'm pretty sure I saw the beacon light spinning too. I didn't really remark on it, but those are 2 additional things that you want to check. And like I said, because I've modified my process for this walk around, I just haven't really gotten the adjustments to my description down to where I remember to say that when we go around. But for now, strobe light can come off, landing lights can come off. We'll leave the nav lights on, we'll leave the beacon lights on. Mix and prop can go full forward. we will go ahead and run the fuel pump for a few moments. We'll unlock the primer. We're waiting to see the fuel pressure come up. Takes just a few moments. Yep. Okay. With fuel pressure in, we'll go ahead and pull the primer 3 and maybe 4 times. Little on the chilly side, so we'll pull it that 4th time. Go ahead and lock that back up. The mix can stay full. Throttle can come back out to about 10%. We're going to do the mags right, left, and both. We'll look around. Oh, we want to close the door up before we do this. Close and latch. We'll leave the windows open so that when we yell out, people will hear us go clear, 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 clear. We'll engage the starter. I'll slowly advance the throttle while we spin the engine around. Okay, there we go. Disengage the throttle, bring it down to 1,000 RPMs as quickly as we can. We will very quickly lean the mix out until the RPM starts to drop. So there we go, right there. We'll make a note that the oil pressure came up right away, and it did. We will check fuel pressure, and we're going to shut the electric fuel pump off. The engine has a fuel pump attached to it that should be now supplying its own fuel pressure, and it appears that it is, so that's all good. Go ahead and close up the windows. All right. Well, what else do we want to do? Well, we want to check the... we want to check a METAR here. .METAR PAEG 180 at 8, gusting to 16 miles an hour. So, or knots rather. So, yeah, we're going to want to take off headed southbound if we can, or as close as we can to it. Altimeter's 3029, 3029er. So we'll get that set here on the altimeter gauge. So 3030 minus 1 click. And it looks like the field elevation should be, what, 940 or thereabouts? So let's double check that against the chart and see if that's accurate. Okay, 907, but it's reading a little bit higher. So we're either on a higher side of the airport or, you know, we're just a little bit off. But just plus or minus 900, and you can see that there's some sloping here on the ramp, so it's more than possible that the airport elevation is a little higher on this side. Within about 75 feet, then you kind of don't worry as much. Avionics switch can come on. We'll get COM1, NAV1, COM2, NAV2. We're going to be squawking 1200. We'll go ahead and throw that into altitude mode, and we'll go ahead and throw our ADF on as well. Did that not come on? Do I have a failed ADF? I might have a circuit breaker. I did not actually check to see if we've got any popped circuit breakers, which is a bad pilot thing. I should check that before we fire up. Oh, yeah, looks like we do. So we got good radios there. Oh, look, we got good radio here too. Oh, go figure. As Adam Savage likes to say.
Well, there's your problem.
All right, very good. So that part of the pre-flight has passed now. Also, reason for all the A2A simulations, Comanche is fantastic for exactly that kind of stuff. Everything that I mentioned in the pre-flight walk-around represents something that the A2A simulations Comanche does occasionally simulate that will go wrong. Even to the point where I said, hey, make sure that nobody left anything in the air intake. We have had once on the stream where we found a rag, like a oil rag, that was just left in the air intake there. And all you do is click on it and it goes away. But man, imagine, you know, that's something that happens in the real world too. Somebody could leave a rag there, and man, that would cause you all kinds of problems with engine cooling once you got airborne. So definitely do want to check for that, just as you would in the real world. And if you don't check that in the sim here, the A2A simulations, Comanche will simulate what happens when you do, what happens when you neglect that. So really, really cool in terms of the depth of the simulation here. 165 is the heading that we're currently parked at, so we'll dial that down so that it matches. And this does gradually process out of alignment, so we're going to want to check it every 15-20 minutes or so. Rock it back a few degrees. What else, guys? We're going to be departing on course. Well, on course in a direct path. I tell you what. Let's plot this one at a time. So, Eagle to Coal Creek, and we know that Eagle is a well, it's a 725. So much for landing. So much for departing southbound. I guess. I guess 2.5 is slightly more favorable to 1.8, so we'll depart westbound, and then I guess a left downwind, and then cross over the field to go north. Because it looks like a straight out right hand turnout might not be advisable terrain wise. So we'll circle a left downwind, and then we'll turn northbound to follow the river. So our initial on-course heading is 286 if we're going in a straight line, and we could probably navigate this little channel here and go straight there. But since we call this river run, our goal is going to be to follow the river northbound. So basically due north 002, and then again I think if we're departing 2.5, so we'll set the yellow arrow to a 250. That'll be a rough indication of the direction that we wish to depart in, and so sanity check will make sure that we're taxiing toward the tail end of that to depart. But then once we turn on course, we're going to want to be going northbound. So we'll set the green arrow to that just as a visual reminder of where we intend to point, and that way we'll make sure that we're not accidentally following the river in the wrong direction. Like if we were to go down left downwind, then we see the water ahead of us and follow it, and it turns to the right, and we're not paying attention. We're going to be pointing in the opposite direction that we intend to be. So that green arrow pointing north will be a good visual sanity check to make sure that we're going the way we think. And we got to make sure we follow this fork to the left. We should see the substantial island. Let's real quick, and we're not going to have to follow every dip and wiggle in the river. We can kind of cut some of these corners, but I do want to get a sense of the overall distance because I want to make sure that we have a sense of how long it's going to take to get to our first destination. 70 miles, and we cover about 150 per hour in this aircraft, so this should be about a half an hour leg once we get the wheels up. So that'll help us, and we should do our best to kind of to keep track of each little bend in the river, but sometimes they can all look the same. So if you know approximately how long you're going to fly, then that'll be a good cross-check to make sure that we don't overfly our destination. And we should try to keep track of these little tributaries we pass too, but again, you're not paying 100% attention. It's going to be real easy to mistake one for another. So we will do our best to not to make that mistake. Obviously, we've got some other terrain cues here with certain peaks on each side that we can also kind of cross-check with, but we just want to be extra careful. By the way, while we're looking at this chart, some interesting features on airspace features on this chart. We've got what they call the Yukon 4 MOA, Military Operation Area. It is perfectly acceptable for VFR aircraft to be in this area. However, they always recommend, if you do, that you should be talking to the appropriate controller, whether that's an approach controller or a center controller. It'll normally tell you on the chart who the controlling facility is, and if it doesn't say right here on the sectional, if you go to the actual sectional as published by the FAA, you would have that information here in the margins. So for some of these, yeah. So it'll tell you Yukon 1. It'll tell you that the altitudes that it's effective for. It'll tell you the hours that it's effective for, and it'll tell you who you should be in touch with. The idea is, if you're VFR, you're allowed to be in there, but it's highly, highly recommended that you be in touch with the relevant air traffic control facility so they can provide you traffic warnings or information on whether the space is in use. Now, all that having been said, the reason I was pointing that out was this is an interesting one. We've got these little magenta boundaries on either side of the river, and look at what it says. MOA excludes airspace from surface to 2000 AGL between April 15th and September 15th. So during the warmer months, I guess they make allowance for the fact that there's probably a good amount of VFR traffic going to be traversing up and down this river. And so the military operations, the training exercises that they do up here or what have you, they don't do those. They don't conduct those under 2,000 feet along this river during that period, knowing that there's going to be this extra modicum of VFR traffic, just as we're doing. In the real world would see VFR traffic traversing up and down these rivers as well. So very just interesting note on this section, although I've not seen it marked this particular way in other places. But of course in Alaska, with a lot of these isolated areas, Fort Yukon, for example, is not accessible by road. There's a road network there, but the road network doesn't connect to anything. So, there's a high concentration of bush-style flying that happens in Alaska because a lot of these communities are only connected by that. So this section kind of reflects, hey, during the summer months, there's going to be increased VFR traffic along these rivers. And military guys, when you're playing with your toys and doing little practice stuff, stay away from that area because you're going to have lots of traffic to tangle with. So, interesting. Anyway, I think that's enough preface for now. I think I'm comfortable that we can go ahead and get started. Matter of fact, I'm going to do one more check. Yeah, okay, so we haven't yammered on long enough that the gyro has drifted too far out of alignment, so I guess we're good. J.R. Delaney's back with us. How are you, J.R.? Good to see you back here. All right, friends, let's go. Let's make sure I haven't forgotten anything in terms of our pre-flight. Oh, communications. What's the advisory frequency at our origin? 122.8, so the same as the kind of the generic en route advisory frequency. That's fine. And then once we get to Coal Creek, same thing, 122.8. Easy enough. Okay. Well, that means in our case we're going to be at 122.8 the entire way. Our origin has a common traffic advisory frequency. Our destination has a common traffic advisory frequency. En route in between, you kind of should be operating on 122.8, although you really only have to be actively transmitting on that frequency if there's other traffic that you need to coordinate with. I say that at the airports, it's always good to be in the habit of making calls during your pattern entry and exit, regardless of whether there's other traffic around that you're aware of. But in this case, 122.8 the entire way, so that makes it a little easier. All right, not going to be here too long. Yeah, no problem, man. I trust me, I understand that your world does not revolve around me. That's absolutely fine, and I appreciate you stopping in either way. All right, so 122.8. We're going to monitor 21.5 on COM 2. And I'm going to double check VPilot is picking all that up as it should, and we are good to go. All right, so we're going to take off on... We're going to take off on 25, and we're parked down here at the west end of the runway, so we're going to have to back taxi this whole way. I don't know if we need all 3,600 feet, but I think just for safety, we'll back taxi the entire way, and then we'll depart out to the west. Probably only need about a third of that in this aircraft, but just to give us the option to abort safely if we need to, we'll go ahead and back taxi the entire way. Alright, and I did not set, we'll set flaps for departure, and we'll set trim for departure. Just make sure that we're trim neutral here. Yeah, one more crank. There we go. What's this place called? Eagle Traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's back taxiing runway 25 for a VFR northbound departure, Eagle. Since we are, I'm assuming that's the runway surface there. And again, I made a traffic call, but always good to check visually, make sure that there's not somebody using the airport that hasn't made a traffic call. It happens on VATSIM. It happens in the real world. Radio, in a lot of these places, your aircraft doesn't even need to be equipped with a radio in order for you to legally operate. So it can happen that there is traffic in and out of these Class Echo and Gulf airports that would be operating but not transmitting. Now, VATSIM rules say you ought to transmit, and there's no such thing as a VATSIM aircraft that doesn't have a radio. You can simulate that with controller permission, but really, honestly, in the real world, at the very least, you should have a handheld. And in VATSIM, they basically simulate that all aircraft are at least carrying a handheld comm, because the pilot client's going to have functionality that you can use whether or not a radio is modeled in your aircraft. So, anyway, point is, always going to be in the habit to visually check to make sure you don't see aircraft in the pattern, even if you've made a traffic call, and that's true in the real world and on VATSIM. I probably should have done a run-up before we took the runway. I'll do a quick one. Would really, it's a super bad form to be sitting on the runway any longer than you have to. If there's a little pad off the end here, we'll taxi onto that and we'll do a run-up. Can't quite tell if that's the case or not, but or at the very least, we'll just taxi off to the edge. We'll call it a run-up pad. It looks like it might be a road. There might be simulated cars coming up to the runway here, but that's okay. Eagle Traffic Comanche 514 Delta Victor will be taxiing off of the east end for run-up, so we are currently clear, or will be clear of the runway 25 Eagle. Yeah, so I don't know if this is really a run-up area, but we're going to make it one today, because I forgot to do a run-up on the pad. And I've been sitting here idling so long, it just feels like a wise idea to check and make sure that we haven't built up too much carbon on the plug tips. Okay, there we are. So now that we're off the runway again, strobes will go back to off. I'm going to run the RPMs up to 2,000. I'm going to leave the mix. Yeah, it's a trail. Keep driving, right? Yeah, we'll see where it goes. We're exploring. I'm going to leave the mix lean for this portion. Anytime you run high power and lean mix, that helps you kind of clean off those plug tips. So if we did build up any carbon deposits, we're currently working to burn those off. We're going to kill two birds with one stone here by doing our prop lever check with that configuration. Just down and back 3 times, gets the oil moving back and forth in the prop governor. Also make sure that it does indeed respond. Alright, 3 times a charm. We'll go ahead and go full rich. Adjust back to 2,000. And we'll do a carb heat check. Okay, carb heat does seem to incur an RPM loss. That it generally indicates it's working. We're going to check the left mags. Okay, we do see an RPM drop of about 90 to 100, and that's fine, that's normal. Back to both, we see it recover. And then right side, 90 to 100, and back to normal. Okay, back to both. Okay, so good. No unusual rough running or sputtering or significant RPM loss beyond that 90 to 100, so we're good to go. Okay, so again, we're departing westbound, but then we're going to circle a left-hand 270 to overfly the airport and head north. Eagle Traffic Comanche 514 Delta Victor is departing runway 25 VFR, left downwind, then we'll cross midfield northbound and join the river. Eagle. Oh, proud of myself. I said that kind of concisely. All right, strobe lights on, landing lights on. Visual inspection. Any traffic coming in? None that we can see, none that we heard. Alright, as soon as we get lined up, we're going to take off power set. Just take the middle of these two seams here. Call that the center line, close enough. Alright, takeoff power's coming at you. Right up to the red. Okay, 60, 80, up and away. And we don't have super terrain consideration here, so we'll pitch immediately to the 105. That's our best rate of climb. Okay, so we'll get down, get that speed up. Not returning to the pavement, gear can come up. That'll help us pick up that speed. And as soon as we've got adequate airspeed and altitude, go ahead and get the flaps in. That'll help us maintain the 105, and we can go ahead and pitch up a little bit more aggressively now. Eagle traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor clear, runway 25. We're going to go left crosswind, left downwind, and then turn northbound Eagle. Okay, RPMs. Come off of the red. We'll go to 24. 24 on the manifold. Downwind sim. Hey, how the heck have you been, sir? Okay, we'll lower the nose, make sure I'm not climbing too aggressively here. Pitch ideally for the 105, and if I say 105 knots, it's a slip of the tongue. This gauge in this aircraft is in miles an hour. Say knots out of habit, but in this aircraft, that number is about 15% higher than it would be in an aircraft with the gauge in knots. Okay, so there's our crosswind. Check for any traffic on the downwind. Don't see any. Turn northbound. I'm sorry, turn eastbound rather. Turn to the downwind side. Greetings from Dallas this time, Mr. Jet Set. They call him Downwind Sim because he is constantly on a downwind to some airport somewhere. Alright, there's midfield, and then let's go ahead and turn northbound. And I'm actually, while we're climbing past 2500, I'm actually going to bring it back down to 2500 here. Eagle traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is left downwind midfield. We're going to go ahead and turn northbound now, 2800, returning to 2500, joining the river northbound Eagle. Alright, it's 20 and 20. And then let's get back down to 2500. Oh, I didn't get pitot. I got the lights on. I should have gotten fuel pump on for departure. The electric fuel pump kind of runs as a backup to the engine-driven fuel pump. We can turn that off now, but pitot heat should be on, and we'll go ahead and leave that on. So a couple of steps that I forgot. Yeah, Downwind Sim, we're rejoining our Yukon River Run. River Run Season 5, Yukon River. We just left from Eagle, Alaska, so we just crossed over. If you look to the right, you'll see British Columbia. Look to the left, you see Alaska. If you look straight ahead, are we looking at British Columbia? I don't know. Alaska. I'll tell you what, at this point we'll just go ahead and keep the 3000. We can go to 22 and 22. I know, yeah, Bush League band around here somewhere. There's probably a number of them. So 22 on the RPMs, 22 on the manifold. We can lean the mix out to about 14 gallons an hour. And we took off at, we'll call it 5 till the hour, round figures. You know, we said this is going to be approximately a half an hour leg in terms of our trip up to Coal Creek. I really haven't done any examination of what we're going to encounter when we get to Coal Creek, so we'll pull that up here in just a moment. and see what we're getting into and kind of make an arrival plan for once we get up there. But 22, 14 gallons an hour. Fuel pump came off. Gear up and flaps retracted, and so we're all good. So Downwind Sim asks, is the summer season in full swing out there on the shore? Yeah, we are definitely in our peak season. We had so Memorial Day weekend itself was a little rainy and chilly, so it wasn't quite as robust as we had expected. This past weekend, very nice weather. Now, slightly mild temperature still, not quite summer beach weather, but there were still a lot of folks down here enjoying the very mild weather. Low humidity, which is atypical for the shore. It's a very pleasant outdoor weather over the weekend. I wound up doing some yard work. Then I had my parents and my wife and I went out to celebrate my birthday on Saturday. And then tomorrow, my sister and her family are coming down to join my parents and I for kind of a little cookout here at the house for celebration of both of our birthdays, which were both yesterday. Thank you. Downwind Sim says happy birthday. Yeah. Thank you kindly. I don't feel any older. Yet. I know. It will catch up to me. I know it will. I'll tell you what. When I did feel pretty old when I was doing the yard work. And in fairness, I've come to accept my my limitations. I split it up. I did half of it Saturday morning, half of it Sunday morning. So paced myself a little bit. Alright, so we're flying northwest, and that is consistent with what we want to be doing here. You know, this first wiggle of the river definitely went due north. Got that somewhat bigger island out to our right. Yeah, see, down here on the British Columbia side, we were very kind of constrained by terrain. We had to follow pretty much every turn of the river. Not necessarily every little bend up here, but down here we were very, very much following every single dip and wiggle along the way because we didn't have a choice. We're getting into, if you look at the terrain picture here, we're definitely getting into an area where kind of the valley opens up. And we still have, you know, some scattered terrain to either side. But not as bad. Yeah, really in the middle of nowhere. Well, that was one of the points I was actually going to make, Downwind Sim. As we've done these series before, you know, a river run episode covers anywhere between, you know, 120 to 150 miles along the river typically, and would have anywhere from, you know, 6 to as many as 9 or 10 stops along the way. Well, in a 150-mile episode tonight, we're only making 4 stops. 3 intermediate stops, 4 legs total, 3 intermediate stops, and then our final destination. So it really is the case that even in terms of private grass, gravel, dirt strips, you know, farm strips or what have you, they're fewer and further between than what we've been used to. And it makes, yeah, we got 3 on sandbars, yeah, of course. But yeah, even in terms of what we've been used to, it makes sense. This is a much more sparsely populated region, for sure. But even in an area of the country where, you know, bush-style flying, general aviation is much more prevalent per capita than it is elsewhere in the United States, it still seems like we're going a pretty good distance between strips. Now, it's also possible that there are uncharted strips, you know, private strips that aren't necessarily on the charts. that we might see along the way here. Or, you know, in certain styles of bush flying, if you got big enough, bouncy enough tires, you know, anything that's, you know, flat and level enough for 1,000 feet or so is an airstrip, whether it's on the chart as one or not. And that's kind of a way of life up here. Yeah, I think we can land there. Oh no, let's do a pass and look. Yeah, it looks pretty flat. Let's try it. You know? Other than I'm that brave in the Comanche. Comanche's got a little more weight and speed to it than a true bush plane. You know, like I like to say, Ruby the Juice is here. Like I like to say, in the Comanche, you know, the Comanche will forgive you if you have a little extra speed. The Comanche will forgive you if you have a little extra altitude. The Comanche will not forgive you if you have a little extra of both. So it's a pretty capable short field operator if you make sure you only have one or the other of those at any given moment. Yeah, Rookie says it's not in real life, but in the game it's great for bush. Well, in the game, of course, you can push those boundaries and take more chances. You know, in real life, I mean, there's a certain level of bush-style flying that these things do, but not to the level of your Carbon Cubs and, you know, your true bush planes. I'm going to watch the time here. So we're about 10 minutes in to what we said was probably a 30-minute flight. What I think I'll do, let's blank out these. So I put in these intermediate points just to get a sense of the total mileage. But now let's see if I can put in points to reflect where we are, how far along we've made it, so we can kind of track our progress and see what we've got left. What's the biggest feature that we've just passed here? I've got a nice little peak off to our right. We've got a sweep around to the left with some terrain immediately adjacent to the river. So is that here? I think maybe I feel like we're there. Yeah, use the islands. The islands, it's a little bit... I've found, Aviator, that at least in Flight Sim 2020, the islands could be deceiving. Because, you know, the path of the water does change slightly over time. And where were we? I think we were along the Yukon River, but over closer toward the Unalakleet. And it was evident, it was very evident that the shape of the river had changed between the time that the scenery was generated and the time that the sectional was created. Because we found an airstrip, and we definitely realized that the shape of the water, the path of the water itself, let alone the islands in the middle of the stream, the path of the water itself did not match up with what was on the sectional. So in the sim, at least, you kind of have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But as we make a left bend with an island around the inside, and then we got two islands past of that. I mean, we should be able to do pretty well here. Are we making this bend here, or are we making this bend here? Hard to tell. I like to think that if we're making this left bend... Yeah, this bend has like a wide valley to the left. This left bend has terrain on either side, like pretty close on either side. I guess I should probably steer away from it. So I feel like there's a good bet that we're there. And do we have a larger island in the next corner here? Yeah, I think so. I think that's... Yeah, we have a larger island with a little bit of a side stream there. I definitely think that we're... Yeah, downwind sim, I know. I was thinking that too. No one in between. How could we be wrong? Don't insult me. Don't insult me, downwind sim. Kenny and Dolly, of course. Alright, so I do feel very, very confident that we're making this bend over this island right here, right now. So, 33 miles straight line to go. It's going to be a little bit further than that, obviously, as we track along the path, but I do feel confident that we are where we think we are. The abandoned settlement could be a good cross-check. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if we can see it, well, it would be over our left shoulder right now. Is that what that's supposed to be? I'm not... Yeah, I don't know. How well represented in the sim that would be. I mean, maybe, right? It's kind of hard to tell. At any rate, I'm relatively confident that we are where we think we are for right now. So what we're going to do, yeah, it might just be 4 or 5 houses barely visible, and who knows how accurate that's going to be rendered in the sim, especially this far off the beaten path. We're going to a 1 and 19, irregular winds possible, runway is a dredged creek, slopes uphill to the south. God, who knows what this is going to look like. Surface, gravel in poor condition. Rough, 6-inch rocks. Oh, this is going to be fun, guys. 3,900 by 80 feet, so it's nice and big. Nice and big, but who knows what's going to look like in terms of surface. But 1 and 19. I know it said irregular winds are possible. I think down here we had said the wind was coming out of the south. Well, it's now shifted 120, but that's more southerly, I guess. We don't seem to have a METAR station there. What else is close in terms of METARs? 2 9ers here at 6, so that's coming out of the west. Yeah, I guess the closest observation we have is a 120, so we'll plan on landing on 19. The other thing, of course, we could do, if we are able to, we could do an inspection pass and try to catch sight of a windsock and see which way it's blowing. Alright, so we're north of where we had just marked and coming up on the bend. We're at bends westbound again. I would say we're right there. We're going to west and then a north and then a west, so I think we're actually probably right there. We have a, so as we make that second left, we have terrain that comes out kind of as in a point right around that bend. Yeah, we do, right here, a 3,100 foot peak right there on the corner. I would say that's where we are. Trying to cut the corner just a little bit here. And obviously, like I said, we to a point we want to follow the water because We do have terrain on either side, but we're not obligated to be directly over water. This isn't like the visual approach to runway 19er at Washington, where you're violating prohibited airspace if you cut the corner a little bit. So we can do that. I guess it helps if I spell that right, huh? For the uninitiated, there's a link with some more explanation. Oh, one undocumented checklist item that we never got to. Go ahead and catch up with that now. Alright, so we're starting the point where we are bending to the north. So really one more substantial bend to the north, and then we're going to kind of be looking for it to our west here. Ooh, Downwind Sim just says, just did a show in D.C. I stayed at the Waldorf Astoria, right there in Pennsylvania. Yeah, very, very historic area. Didn't get to do the river visual. Ah. Well, but still, if you come in northbound, you're still following along the Potomac. You're just following the straight section. Unless you came into Dulles, in which case, never mind. Landed northbound at National. There you go. So you were still following the river. You were just following the river in the less exciting direction. Yeah, you still get to cross over the Wilson Bridge, which is the Beltway, Interstate 495. There's National Harbor there on the right-hand side. If you had any kind of good visibility out the right side of the plane, you got to see a really nice resort area off the right side, just before the Wilson Bridge. And then, of course, Arlington ahead on the left. Yeah, pretty scenic. Pretty scenic regardless of which direction you land there. As a passenger, it's good either way. As a pilot, it's always more fun to come in on the 19. Alright, so I think do we see this somewhat prominent tributary off to the right-hand side? Yeah, I would say we do. So 16 miles east. Downwind Sim says, I still remember your tips. 3K at this bridge, then 2K, And then 1K, yeah, and then you're 400 feet over the last set of bridges as you're making that right turn. The craziest thing about that approach is, you get lined up on this visual approach to runway 19, but you're really almost perfectly lined up with 15. And if you lose your brain for a second, it is real easy to go, oh, hey, I got the runway in sight, and then come in on 15 instead of 19. And then you're doing yourself a little bit of a disservice because it's 2,000 feet shorter. Kenny's back says, what have I missed? Well, we've been flying along a river for a long, long time. We're just getting ready to make our arrival at Coal Creek, which is our first stop. We got this little sweeper to the right, and then we'll have a tributary off to the left, and then our first destination is down there to the left. We're going to make sure, let's be careful that we don't accidentally take the Charlie River. We want to make sure that we turn south at the correct tributary. So the Charlie River should be the one that kind of comes off right here. Okay, I can see it. Okay, so that's that there. So we're good. If we turn, cut the corner, and we said we're going to land on runway 19. I'm going to go ahead and set the arrow to that right now. And we'll set both arrows to that. Why not? We did say that the overall leg was going to be a half an hour or so, and yeah, that'll be another 5 minutes, so perfect timing in terms of our expectations. We're still at 22.14. We've dropped a couple hundred feet. Field elevation at Coal Creek is 867, so we'll say basically 900. So we'll say 1900 as our pattern altitude. Forever W says, amazing flight so far. Yeah, this is such a scenic area, man. Thank you for joining, by the way. Such a scenic area. We've done some, we used to do a monthly bush flight, first Monday of every month. Our very good friend Downwind Sim that we've been chatting with. If you go to downwindsim.com, you'll see the descriptions of the monthly bush flights that we used to do with a dozen or so of us would show up every month to do those. And we did a lot up in British Columbia. We did a lot up in Alaska. We did a fair amount in Idaho, Utah, Colorado. Some in Washington State. Did a little bit in the Appalachians over on the eastern side of the U.S. Appalachians and subsidiaries, I guess I should say. But yeah, a fair amount of bush style flying up here in Alaska, and man, it's such a breathtaking area to do some flying in. So many places to explore. Yeah, we really only scratched the surface, didn't we? We did those for what, almost, was it 4 years or 5 years? 5 years we did those? And just really only scratched the surface, Alright, so what we've got here is an area where the river kind of bulges out and then narrows, which I would say is here. And then we should be right at the end of that narrows. We should be following that next tributary down to the left. I kind of feel like it's right here in between, like this little channel here. And we're gonna call ourselves 5 miles north. And I'm gonna go ahead and start backing the power off here. We're gonna get down to about 1,900 feet. Cold Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is about 5 miles north coming off of the Yukon River, 2,600 descending. We're going to set up for a straight-in runway 19er, Cold Creek. We'll set up for a straight-in because I don't know, based on the terrain on either side of this thing, I don't know that we've got a lot of space to do a traditional pattern. But we'll see what we see when we get there. If we end up deciding that we need to do a full circuit in order to get set up properly, we'll do that. But for right now, you guys can start putting some predictions into the chat as far as the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch runway surface. There's no bot command on this channel necessary for that, just a number into the chat, positive or negative. With or without the minus sign, we'll know that you mean a descent rate either way. And the closest predictor is going to get an automatic entry into our June 24th landing rate raffle drawing. Slant Alpha merch or electronic gift cards are your choice of prizes there. Alright, I'm backing the power down as far as I can go without it yelling at me. I'm spinning the props up faster though. Don't mistake that for me adding power. We're subtracting power. We're downshifting the car into a lower gear, essentially, is what we're doing. Oh, is this it right here? If this is it right here, then I'm going to go and I want to do a full circuit. I think this is it right below us on the left. So we'll do, yeah, we'll do a full circuit there. Yeah, because I'm way too high and fast at the moment. I would say that's definitely it. Okay, well, we'll know for the second circuit what we're looking for, at least. Cold Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is overflying north to south, 1,900. We're going to do a left-hand circuit and rejoin the river, and we're going to make our straight-in landings on runway 19er on the second pass, Cold Creek. Alright, so props are back to full. We'll add a little power in. Yeah, let's go 24 on the manifold, 24 on the RPMs. We have not yet started deploying flaps or gear. Let's pitch to maintain the 105, which is our best rate of climb. And then once we're sure that we're clear of this terrain to our left, we'll circle around to the left. Head back to the Yukon River, and then we'll go and make that same approach again, but we'll just make sure we're nice and low so that we can make it down onto that third strip. Alright, there's 3,000 feet. We can actually start kind of descending and heading back. Let's make sure we're turning back to the north. Okay, yeah, there's our river. Okay, so we'll use this little channel here as our downwind, and then runway's over there somewhere. Okay, mix is full. Go ahead and get our fuel pump on. And like I said, we'll back the power out. I'm going to go ahead and drop the gear. Below 150 in this aircraft, you can drop the gear. So that'll allow us to descend without picking up too much airspeed. Plus, it'll stop it from yelling at us if we drop the power already out. Once we get down below the white arc, we can start getting flaps out. Okay, we're right there on the cusp of the white arc. I'm going to go ahead and drop the first notch of flaps in, and that'll help us keep the speed under control as well. I know, he's very unhappy. I'm not sure what Mrs. is doing. But she's obviously either not in a position to help him out, or he's just being so frustrated that she's letting him bark it out. That's our oldest. That's Finley. And he's just gotten so ornery that sometimes he gets himself in a mood where there's nothing we can do to appease him. Just grumpy. And so we just go like, alright, I mean, look. Nothing we can do for you, bud. Just get over yourself. Poor guy. Alright, mix and props full now. We got the first notch of flaps. We got the gear. We got 2 more notches of flaps to go. Coal Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor has now rejoined the Yukon River on the left base to runway 19er. We'll stop Coal Creek. Alright, I don't want to be too low just yet. Should probably want to be at 1900 here, but we'll just keep the 17 change. Okay, so it was pretty much right at this first bend. As a matter of fact, this might be it right here. Yep, that's going to be it right there. Coal Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left base to final now for runway 19er, full stop Coal Creek. Okay, second notch of flaps. Drop power just a little bit. We'll hug the left side of the channel here. Bud, there's not much I can do for you at this second. I think the little one's trying to annoy him, and that's where he's getting upset. Alright, final notch of flaps. Gears down in green, flaps 3 set and checked. Mix and props full, fuel pumps on. Coal Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is about a 1.5 mile final, runway 19er, full stop. Coal Creek. Okay. Now, I had said one of the things about crab angle was I think I was trying to line up on the cowling. I want to try and line up kind of right in this spot, left to the right of this vent, to the left of the cowling. I feel like the plane... I've been fooling myself into thinking the plane tracks to the center of that cowling, and I don't think it does. I think that's been part of my problem in this aircraft. I do feel like there's just a little bit of a right to left. Throw some left rudder in there. We'll get the right wing slightly down. And just make sure I don't overflare it here. Just barely lift the nose up to where it's level. Let it settle in. Okay, pretty happy with that. Did overflare slightly. We did start rising again, but kept it under good control and kept good centerline alignment there. So not perfect. You know, really in a landing, you really don't want to be increasing altitude at any point during your landing. But, you know, all things considered, not too bad. We do have to miss all the moose as well, Smokestack. That's a good point. Moose and squirrel, as a matter of fact. Downwind Sim, I'm half expecting to see the food truck here. And I'm not going to get too crazy in terms of pulling all the way off. Very likely that we'll be the only aircraft here. Alright, parking brake. RPM's down to 1,000. Let's lean the mix out till it drops. Coal Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, clear of runway 19 or Coal Creek. Flaps, strobe, landing.
It's finger licking good.
Good fixins is here. Yeah, we just need gas. No, I gassed up enough at the beginning of the stream to get us to all of our stops. Are there any roads in and out of here? No, I doubt it, Downwind Sim. Doubt it. Rookie 31st, I landed at Glens Falls, New York today with a cow on the runway. Yeah, we saw, I did an offline stream a couple weeks ago in the Learjet, and I was taxiing on Taxiway Alpha at John Wayne Airport in Southern California, and they had some sort of a little pony or something crossing the runway there. It's like, well, okay. Alright, so we got we got everything done on the shutdown, or not the shutdown, but the turnaround. We're going to sit here and idle for a little bit. Let us take a peek at the landing stats here. Well, the scorecard was 89, and, yeah, 4 was the number. Oh, it dinged us for the crab angle. Look at that. Everything's really, really good. Everything, almost perfect marks on everything, but it dinged us for the crab angle. I thought for sure we had that crab angle kind of sorted out there. So we touched down late in the touchdown zone, but still within it. But I guess, yeah, the nose was over to the left. It's saying that there wasn't much of a crosswind, so I guess I just don't have the reference point worked out in this aircraft in terms of what it tracks toward, because I still feel like there's a crab Yeah, better crab on the East Coast, I guess. Yeah, well, as I live in a beach resort town on the Mid-Atlantic, I guess I would be the aficionado, although I don't eat crab. Shh, don't tell them. Yeah, so you can see, and it's you can see how when you get the weight onto the wheels, the crab angle, the left-hand crab angle turns into a left-hand centerline deviation, right? The weight gets on the wheels, and then the plane wants to truck over that way because that's the way it's pointed. So you get a real good visual depiction of what that crab angle does when you set down. And of course, in the real world, like that transition from crabbing to, you know, rolling in the direction you're pointing puts lateral stress on the gear, and that's one of the things that and here's the overflare, right? Here's the point where we were landing, but then we were increasing, then we were dropping, and then we were increasing. So a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of the altitude. So that was the other piece that I had said, I didn't quite do the way I wanted it to do. Well, we should have been 50. Yeah, I'd like to be 50 feet over the threshold, a little low there, and then we kind of leveled it and floated it, and then we finally touched down there. So that's the one thing with the sim versus the real plane, right? And this is why a lot of sim pilots are they Dunning-Kruger themselves into thinking that they could land a real airplane without breaking it. The sim forgives you a lot of stuff that a real plane doesn't, right? And this side loading, this 4-degree crab angle on a light aircraft, yeah, that puts lateral stress on the gear. You do that too often or too hard, yeah, you're going to break something. In the sim, you don't normally get the level of consequence that the real plane might give you. Overall, though, I mean, I agree with the assessment of, hey, this was a pretty good landing overall. It didn't quite need to be as soft as it was, right? That was just me over flaring and then, you know, roller coastering it down until it touched. So that was, I mean, yeah, nice low number, but not really where you want to be. But overall, very good. Yeah, that's why we land on the inside tower, Kenny, right? Anyway, where were your predictions? Basically, I think we're going to award it to whoever guessed the lowest, huh? We had 55, we had 33, we had 24, we had 56, 100 from Downwind Sim, 71. Who was the lowest? Man, I got to read through them again. Who was the lowest? $55, 33, 24 from Forever W. Yeah, so there you go. Forever W gets the follow. I mean, gets the entry. Smokestack Lightning is the one that will subscribe to the channel. Thank you so kindly for that. You know, guys, with at the end of the month, 24th in this case, we do a drawing and we award prizes to whoever's entry comes out of that fishbowl. It's the subscriptions and the cheer bits and the donations and the gift subs that fund those prizes. So we really do appreciate you guys who contribute to the channel. So this is landing at Lincoln 20, Lincoln. Old cop language coming through. Lima 20 on 6-1. But yeah, thank you kindly for the subscription there, Smoke, and to all of you who contribute financially to the channel. When we do that drawing on the 24th, Forever W, since you're brand new to the stream, or at least if you're new to the chat, you might have been lurking. But for those who don't know, once a month, toward the end of the month, we do a drawing. We pull one of those tickets out of the hat, and whoever wins gets their choice of any one of our Slant Alpha merch items, including the t-shirt or the ball cap or the coffee mug or the tote bag. Or you can choose an electronic gift card at Amazon.com or Xplane.org store or SimMarket.com. If you choose the merch, I will ship that to you at my own expense. The electronic gift card, obviously, there's no expense in delivering that to you. But of course, it's the money that comes into the channel from the subscriptions and the gift subs and the cheer bits and the donations that keeps those drawing those prizes funded and gives us our ability to do that every single month. Program note, by the way, on the 24th is when we're going to do that drawing. On the 29th, we're going to do a huge giveaway night. I don't have the prize amounts fully set for that yet, but the 29th is going to be our celebration of 8 years of the Slant Alpha Adventures live stream. I started this thing in 2018, if you can believe that. Coming up on 8 years ago. So we're going to have a nice big celebration. We're going to do that in the Learjet. We're going to do that in the Caribbean. We're going to do 2 landings. All of you who happen to be with us that night and provide predictions for both of the landings, you have to be here for both. But if you provide predictions for both of the landings, we're going to score your predictions in terms of accuracy from 0 to 500. And whoever has the most points out of 1,000, the top 3 at the end will award prizes. And normally we do like 100 and then 50 and then 25 is the top prizes. I haven't decided if that's going to be the amounts this time or whether maybe we'll do a top 5 with a little bit more prize money at stake. I don't know. It'll be at least what I told you. It might even be more. But anyway, that'll be our big streamiversary celebration on June the 29th. So, yeah, what's that, 4 weeks from today, I think? Yeah, 4 weeks. So we're 7 years and 11 months into this live stream. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue up the river here in just a bit. I'm going to take an early intermission, and I'm going to see if I can kind of well, first of all, I need to do a little liquid recycling, but second of all, I want to check on the pups and make sure they got sorted out. Obviously, Mrs. Slants, I don't know if she's run out to the store or what, but she was. Littlest was torturing the oldest. Well, they're all kind of curled up here, being chill now. I guess they got whatever it was out of their system. That's fine. That's good. But I still need to do a little liquid recycling before we continue on. I bumped my throttle. It's okay. It's still right there at 1,000. So we will we'll depart out to the north. We'll land south, depart north. It just seems like the strip's set up for that. Let's get a sense of the total anticipated mileage. Again, not that I need to be super accurate with this, but the more points you put in, the closer it gets you to the total mileage. So we'll get all the major turns here. So total mileage is 47. So that'll be probably a 20-minute flight, right? If we say 50 out of 150. So probably about a 20-minute leg from here up to Circle City. Circle City's got a kind of an interesting story about how its name came about. We'll talk about that when we come back. But yeah, so we'll continue our river run from Coal Creek up to Circle City just in a moment. So sit tight, friends. We got lots of flying left to do. We got 2 more legs to do in beautiful Alaska, just along the Yukon River, as we call this our River Run series. And we'll be right back to it after this. Sit tight. Alright friends, back with you. Welcome back. Yes, we are live from Studio 5, just outside of Ocean City, Maryland. And in the sim, we are up here in beautiful eastern Alaska. We've just basically crossed from the Yukon territory into Alaska along the Yukon River as we do this series that we call River Run. We stop at basically every little charted airstrip, whether it's public or private, grass, gravel, dirt, paved, whatever we encounter along the way. And we're continuing our trek north and westbound. At our furthest north point tonight, we're actually going to be north of the Arctic Circle. Funny story about Circle City. Circle City got its name because its original settlers thought that it was at or near the Arctic Circle. And they were off by a few degrees. What is the northbound latitude here? We got a reference for it. I don't know if I've got it on this chart or not readily available. Okay, here's 67 up here. 66 and 2/3 is where Fort Yukon is. That's where we'll definitely be north of the Arctic Circle by just a little bit. So down here, oh, here's 60. Okay, yeah, here's 66 north right here. So yeah, they were a little bit off. But yeah, Circle City, little settlement right along the river, and that is going to be our next stop this evening. We're at Coal Creek now, 19 and 1 runway. We're going to go ahead and just depart to the north because it just seems like terrain considerations make it a land south, depart north kind of place. So that's what we'll go with here. The advisory frequency 122.8, the en route advisory frequency 122.8, because that's just the generic advisory frequency that we always use on VATSIM outside of any airport environment that has a different frequency. But 122.9 is the frequency to use up here at Circle City Airport. Let's right click and open a new tab, and let's see what we're going to be dealing with in terms of facilities when we get up there. We got at 15 and 33, gravel and dirt in good condition, 3,000 by 60 basically, you know, round figures. So similar in size to what we had here. Way fewer scary notams at Circle City, so that's good. The segment in Circle is overgrown and the windsock might be unreliable. Okay, well, we'll take note of that. By the way, do we know what the wind direction there is anticipated to be? I guess we're getting closer and closer to Fort Yukon where the wind is out of the west. So we'll anticipate landing on 3-3. And we'll kind of do the same thing. We'll set up for a straight in, but if we end up having to do a circuit around to land there, we'll do that. By the way, what did our path look like here? Yeah, pretty straightforward little loop around. Little kidney bean shaped pattern there. Oh, we got somebody flying with us possibly here. Yeah, so this is where we took off. We did our little 270. We went northbound. And a little kidney bean shaped pattern when we saw the runway, but we realized we weren't well set up for it. So we may end up doing the same thing when we get to our next destination, but that is fine. Alright, so let's do a couple of things. Let's check on our altimeter. We know that the field elevation here is 867, so we don't know what we don't have a METAR for here. We know that we've got some METARs that are somewhat nearby, but not terribly nearby. We know it's 867. So we'll set that accordingly. So 3020 according to that. Close enough. Windsock reliable. Windsock is actually a wind slipper because it gets cold up yonder. Yeah, right? Let's recalibrate our directional gyro. It looks like we're parked at a 70, 80, maybe an 82. Ooh, we're well above that. I had meant to calibrate that on the way in here, and I didn't even think about it. So we'll rock that back about, 15 degrees or so. I've been really slacking on that. We're going to go ahead and depart on runway 1. But we'll set the arrow around to reflect that, and of course we're going to turn left when we get to the river. We know that, though. No need for a no need for an on-course marker for that. We'll have that down. No problem. Okay, let's get the flap set for departure. Let's get the trim set for departure. One more crank, I think. Yep, there we go. And, yeah, I think we'll just go straight out to our north. Do we have somebody here with us? Oh, we do. All right, very cool. Okay, and then we'll be prepared to switch over to 22-9R when we get closer up to our destination. Monitoring guard on COM2. All right, I think we're ready, friends. Let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? Let's go ahead and we're going to basically go straight onto the runway. Let's get pitot, fuel pump, strobes, landing lights on. Coal Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is departing at runway 1, VFR straight out northbound, Coal Creek. Okay, mix full. We'll forego the run-up. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do one because we've been sitting here idling for quite a while, but we'll forego it. We'll YOLO it. Okay, let's roll it. So we get over onto this, what might be a slightly smoother section. And then we'll go ahead and jam the takeoff power in. Okay. Up and away. Get the gear retracted as soon as we're sure that we're not going to need to return to pavement. As soon as we're certain that we've got enough altitude. Go ahead and get the flaps in. We'll lower the nose to pitch to 105. Get the RPMs off the red line. Manifold pressure down to 24 as well. Fuel pump can come off. Coal Creek traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's clear runway 1, and we are northbound to the river, then westbound, Coal Creek. All right, Kenny, we're very good to have you aboard as always.
Coal Creek traffic, Bonanza, November 114 Whiskey Papa, lining up runway 1, Coal Creek.
I know that voice. Good morning, Bonanza 114 Whiskey Papa.
Good morning.
Alright, we'll take the plane up to 2,500. So 8:57. We'll say 5 till we got airborne. Just round figures. Same as last hour, actually. Net Assist 29 with the follow. Thank you so kindly. Appreciate you being here. Hope that you're enjoying our beautiful trip along the Yukon River in Alaska tonight. Normal show schedule Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We do a mix of general aviation and biz jet and vintage and modern airliner flying on the channel, and we do some VATSIM air traffic control as well. By the way, Wednesday we've been saying for a few weeks, it's like, oh my gosh, we're actually going to be on our normal schedule this week. Well,
traffic 114 Whiskey Papa departing runway 1, VFR departure to the north, Coal Creek.
I jinxed it because now I have to take off Wednesday from the live stream, but we just announced that we're adding the PMDG DC6 to our mix. PMDG has just released an updated version of that for Flight Sim 2024, which we've been anxiously awaiting. So Wednesday will be off. Friday will be an air traffic control stream. Washington is co-hosting the Friday Night Ops event within VAT USA on Friday, and I will be controlling probably that approach and departure sector around Baltimore. So that will be Friday's plan. Friday will be definitely air traffic control, but I'm just not 100% certain where just yet. but very likely to be that sector around BWI Airport. But then Monday we're into the DC6. I'd hoped to get that back in front of you on this coming Wednesday, but we now bumped that to a week from tonight in the PMDG DC6. Alright, so we're clearing this peak on our right, and then we're kind of bending around to the right. So again, I put these extra points in just to estimate the total mileage. 47 drops to 39 when we straight line it. So we went there.
Coal Creek traffic, 114 West Papa is over the river, departing the area to the northwest. Last call, Coal Creek.
And I think we're now by this big island here. Yeah, we'll see what the next runway looks like. Well, I have a feeling it's going to look a lot like the one that we were just on. Similar in length and width. And it did say gravel and dirt, so I'm kind of expecting the same thing. We're now in this sweep where the river kind of turns to the north and west. Do we have like a big old double island ahead of us? Yeah, right up there. Area where the river kind of bulges out and surrounds these couple of islands here. I would say that's what we're looking at. And a ridge that kind of comes along immediately adjacent to the north is probably this ridge here, right where the slightly darker green is. That's probably what we're looking at to our right. I probably should stop bringing the map over in front and watch that ridge, because otherwise I might hit it. Alright, and our partner flying a Bonanza, so he's probably got pretty similar performance in terms of speed. You're probably keeping up just fine, are you not? Yeah. Slight bit of up trim coming in to keep it 2500. 22, 22, 14. Nothing in the tip tanks, right hand and left hand tip tanks, but didn't expect any. We still got 15 gallons per wing tank, so we've got plenty. We started with 20. We just finished our longest hop, I think. I'm going to cut the corners a little bit here. We got a little sweep to the left, a little sweep to the right, and then another little point of terrain. A sweep to the left, sweep to the right. Yeah. So what are we over right now? So this kind of bulge to our left, and then a little bit of a plateau. But yeah, I would say we're basically right there right now. A little bit of a bend to the left, and then a little bit of a bend to the right, and then a very narrow bend to the left. And in that bend to the left, we've got a plateau right along. Yeah, which I think is all this right here. And then a 2,500-foot peak, slightly inbound of that. Maybe that right there. Okay, so I think I'm comfortable that comfortable that I'm tracking along where I think I am. Now, we did say, so Circle City Airport, we did say 15 and a 33, 2,900 foot by 60, so 15 and 33, and we're going to plan on landing 3-3. So I'll line the arrow with that just to have kind of a comparator when we get there. I do have it set in live weather and daylight here. Now, a lot of times when I fly in the States and fly in the lower 48 forever W, I do cheat the time back a few hours because I don't like flying in the dark. And since I have, in the real world, I have a day job and I work till 4, and then I come home and I cook dinner, watch TV with the wifey, and then I come stream at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Well, if I kept the time in real world, I would always be flying in the dark, except in the, only in the middle of the summer it would be light for the first part of the stream, but then it would certainly be dark by the end of the stream, regardless. And I just don't like flying in the dark, so I always cheat the time back a little bit when I fly in the lower 48. However, right now we're flying with real weather and real time, and we're coming up on the Arctic Circle. By the time we end tonight, we'll be in the Arctic Circle, and we'll be in that area where we're only 3 weeks away from summer solstice. So we're getting to that point where above the Arctic Circle, the sun doesn't even really make it fully below the horizon. Matter of fact, that was part of the premise of our slant artwork adventure. Our slant artwork adventure side project that we do on the stream, where we have an image description that we feed into ChatGPT to have it create an image that's roughly representative of what we're doing that night. And then you guys, once you see it, can cash in 500 of the Twitch channel points, aka the alphabet's points, to put yourselves in line to suggest an addition or a modification to that image. So this is our slant artwork adventure for the evening. Us kind of sitting here by the Comanche above the Arctic Circle, right there with a commemorative sign, with the sun just barely peeking above the horizon in the background. I don't know if we'll see that exact scene tonight, but it's not going to be that far off from what we see. But yeah, this is one of the rare nights because we're much further west than I actually sit, and then of course we're much further north, where we've got that angle off of the Arctic Circle on the horizon. Yeah, Rookie says it's a nice hat. Stay warm. The nights are cold there. Yeah, it's so funny. I had said earlier, right now, the temperature in Yukon, or Fort Yukon rather, pretty tolerable. Like, I might not even wear a jacket. And this was a few hours. That's still showing 17 degrees, which is what if 20 degrees is 68? 17 is going to be about 6 or 5 or 6 below, maybe about 5 degrees below that in terms of Fahrenheit. So yeah, it'll be in the low 60s. As of right now, I probably wouldn't even wear a jacket. But I do know that once it becomes nighttime, it does kind of dip down. Piper99 says, we need a sign pointing that penguins are at the other Arctic. The, one might call it anti-Arctic, or Antarctic for short. Alright, Piper, we're working on that. But anyway, that's how you do it, guys. Just cash in 500 of those Twitch channel points, aka the alphabets points, and then just tell me right there in the chat. Now, if I'm busy with you, if we're on approach or something, I might not get to that right away, but if I'm not too busy with the airplane, we'll get your modification request in, and just as Piper did, a simple sentence or a few words. Don't give me a paragraph. The idea is that we add just a little bit. We add one detail at a time, basically, on these. That's how that works. But yeah, no, Piper's was perfect. There you go. There you go, Piper. 9,938 miles that way. Yeah, we'll start walking. Alright, Forrest. Smokestack Lightning says the plane needs a hat too. Alright, Smokestack, we're working on that for you. So we took off at 55 after the hour, 5 till the hour. We said this was going to be about 20 minutes. So it should be about quarter after. So we should be kind of coming up on our destination here. Let's see if I can... Yeah, we're not as far north as Fort Yukon. But are we in this little chute here? Oh, are we coming up? Wow, are we... It's a right-hand bend. Yeah, I think I see exactly. So this little bump out here, this little plateau that has that bump out, I think is exactly what we're looking at there, and then it kind of flattens out after that. Like immediately after that, it goes just flat, flat, flat. I think we're coming up on that right there. I think we're 5 miles away from this airport, guys. Oh, I think I see it right there. Yeah, alright. We'll come back to the artwork adventure, guys. Let's start getting some predictions into the chat as far as the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch runway surface. No bot command necessary, just a number into the chat. Positive or negative. We'll switch over to 122.9er for our CTAF. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is about 5 miles south and east, 2,500 descending, setting up for straight in to runway 33, Circle City. Alright, we got speed to get off quickly. Altitude's not doing too bad. So we're going to back the power down kind of quickly here. We're going to get the fuel pump on. We're going to get the props spun up. That kind of gives you the illusion that we're adding power. We're not. We're just downshifting into a lower gear in the car, as I like to say. So we'll get the power backed off. We'll get the prop spinning faster. Okay, yep. Below 150, yes we are, so gear can come out. I'm gonna kind of stay. Okay, and first notch of flaps can come out right at the white arc there. Field elevation is 613. So it's 1600. We're at pattern altitude, and I'm gonna enter. Just for terrain consideration, I'm going to kind of make a right base entry here. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victors. Over the water, we're going to end up making a right base entry for terrain to runway 33, full stop, Circle City. Good fixes. I don't know what kind of taxiway I've got there. If you're close in behind me, I'll make a grass taxiway, or I'll clear at the end. If you want to come in right behind me, that's fine. Not sure how close you are. You can stay clear. Okay. I mean, I'll see what I get down there. I have a feeling I'm going to end up back taxiing. I really don't know if the parking's on the near side or the far side coming in this way. But, you know, like I said, if you're kind of on top of me, then, you know, I can certainly clear temporarily just to give you space to land. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is on about a 2.5 mile right base now, runway 33, full stop, Circle City. Alright, final notch of flaps. Fuel pump is on, gears down in green, flaps full set and checked.
Circle City traffic, November 114,
Speeds, yeah, altitude's looking good.
We're gonna enter right base for 33.
We have kind of a little excess altitude. We overshot the turn to final just a touch, so we'll get that sorted out here. Oh, it looks like we're getting blown right back on it, so may end up crabbing to the left here. So we'll get some right rudder in, left wing down. Keep the speed right about 80. Make sure we come over top of that little power line there, whatever that is. Feels like I'm tracking pretty straight. Let's just see if we can work out the flare timing this time. Really got unstable right there on short final, so we're going to go around. Now let's get the nose down and get the speed back up. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victors. Going around, we'll go right close traffic for runway 33, Circle City.
Circle City traffic, 140, Papa short final for 33, Circle City.
Okay, let's get back to 24 and 24. Gear in, flaps can come in. Okay, so the way go-arounds work, if you haven't been on the channel for those before, if you put a number in already and you want to keep that number, you don't have to do anything else. If you didn't put a number in, you can still put a number in. If you put a number in but you want to change it, you can put a new number in, but only that second number will count. We'll keep the props up. Keep the props up at 24. Back the power down. We're going to keep the speed at 120, so I'm going to go ahead and drop the gear and first notch of flaps back in. Yeah, ordinarily forever I would have gone ahead and just made it work. I'm kind of a YOLO guy. I hate to say it. I try to do things semi-realistically, but I am kind of a YOLO guy. I felt really good about that approach until we got down to the last 100 feet. And then all of a sudden, either we got
Circle City traffic.
below the trees and we stopped being in a crosswind, or the wind shifted on us on short final or whatever. All of a sudden, my crosswind correction, which felt like it was nice and dialed in, all of a sudden was very much not. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's right downwind midfield, runway 33, full stop. Circle City. Alright, regen's going to change yours to a 35. Sounds good. Anybody else, like I said, if you have a number already in and you want to keep that number, you don't need to put it again. Just stick with what you got. Yeah, fairly narrow runway as well. It's not too bad. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so we're tracking it out just a little bit further. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's right downwind to right base for runway 33, full stop, Circle City. That second notch of flaps. Rudder input out for now. Okay, I believe there's our runway there. Okay, well, I kind of came far out on the downwind, or yeah, the downwind to base. So the base to final is going to be a nice, kind of a long final here, but that's good. That'll give us time to get set up on a nice, stable, straight in. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's right base to final now for about a 2-mile final, runway 33, full stop, Circle City. Okay, well, let's try it again and see if we can set up on a nice, aligned, stable, straight in. And then let's be ready for a shift of the wind once we get down below the trees. And then again, our charge is not to overflare. Okay, full. Hang on. Flaps full, okay. This time I feel like we're getting blown slightly right, so I'm going to go left wing down. Below those trees. Be ready for this to shift. Still felt like there was a little bit of a surge to the left once we got down, so I might still not have been tracking perfectly straight, but I don't know, I felt like on final that felt like a lot safer and more stable to me. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's down and back taxiing, runway 33, Circle City. Okay, we'll leave the lights on for now, since we are still occupying the runway. Yeah, so I feel like it's going to tell me that there was still a crab angle there, but in terms of how it felt coming down final, it felt very much aligned. And I did overflare just a touch. But then I think I did better in terms of just a gentle power reduction and just let the speed bleed off and let the plane settle in, rather than picking up a ton of altitude all of a sudden. So I think I did a little better. Slight gain in altitude as I flared, but not as bad as I have been in this aircraft at times. There's our friend. Okay, 1,000 RPMs, lean the mix until it drops. Whoop, until it starts to drop, not until it drops completely. Okay, flaps, strobe, landing lights, pitot, and fuel pump. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor clear, runway 33, Circle City. Where my beach is at. Yeah, right, Regen. I was thinking about the that as well. I think that's a good call out there. Wonder if the windsock unreliable was because it was right up in the trees and sheltered from the real wind conditions. I doubt very highly that the real one is sheltered, or is caught up in the trees, but I bet that it has to do with the fact that that it's at tree level and, you know, kind of catches swirling winds because of it. So I think you were being serious. I don't know that it's this caught up in the trees for real, but I bet you it is still affected by. The real one is probably in more of a clearing than that, but I bet you is still affected by the fact that it's below tree level and therefore subject to winds that don't match up with what are happening above it. It's interesting to at least my perception was that was definitely simulated. Once we got below treetop level, the winds felt like they shifted, at least that first time. Second time, it felt a little bit more stable. We gotta push that guy out of the ditch. Oh no, he shifted it into four-wheel drive and he's all good. What's going on, Papa Charlie? How are you? All right, let's see how we did with the predictions. Did I get all the cleanup items done? Did I not? Yes, I did. Okay. So it ranked me an 83 out of 100. It still said that there was a significant crab angle. Vertical speed a little higher. G-force it felt fine with. Yeah, everything else was good. So vertical speed was a little on the high side, and crab angle still an issue. 165 was the number that registered, but under the circumstances, I felt okay about that. You got your mud tires on? Good fixing's good, man. So 165, what did you guys have? And again, we'll have to just make sure if it's somebody that changed their guess before versus after the go-around. So we had 45, 54, 66, 41, 70, 55, 18, 99. Good fixings. Did you put the highest number in? I think you did. 45, 54, 66, 41, 70, 55, 99. And yours was after the line anyway, so we're all good on that. So good fixings gets the entry there. PACR. On 6-1. Alright, so let's circle back to our slant artwork adventure. Yeah, Smokestack says we gotta go around because it's called Circle City. That's a fair point. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed with this. It tossed the hat right on the cowling there, but I would have loved to have seen it stretched over the top. Anyway, it's got a hat. It's gonna stay warm. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take a stab at that for you, Smokestack. Good fixings. What do you got? What do you got? You want to make it a modification to the image. We need a bald eagle eating a salmon in the background. Alright, I'm going to take another stab at the hat real quick. And then we'll add that in too. I know, this guy in the ops truck, man, I think he's just joyriding. I think that this might be stolen. This might be like the airport manager's kid doing some donuts and joyriding. Alright. Stab with a knife? What did I think I either I misspoke or you misheard me. I don't think I'm stabbing anything with a knife. Oh, yeah, we're taking another stab at the hat. Yeah, I got you. I got you. It took me a second. Wow, 75 months, Melvin. Gosh, man, we were talking about all the supporters of the channel earlier. We were talking about our raffle drawing, and we were talking about our upcoming 8th anniversary celebration. So thank you very kindly for being one of the guys that helps me fund all those prizes that we give away here. Super duper appreciate it, man. Alright, Smokestack, I think we did a little better with this. That's more like it, I think. Right? Wouldn't you say? And I didn't realize what the hat even said. It says Alaska Bush Pilot on it. I love it. Alright, Good Fixins wants to see, bald eagle snatching up a fish in the background, huh? Alright, working on that, Mr. Good Fixins. The rest of you guys, if you want to add a, make an addition or modification to our slant artwork adventure, go ahead and cash in 500 of our Twitch channel points, aka our Alphabets points. Alright, let's go ahead and plot our final trip here. One more leg to go. Might be a fairly early stream in tonight. That's fine, though. It'll give me time to mess around with the DC-6 control assignments even a little bit more. Man, this is, and we don't even really need to add too much in terms of waypoints. The straight line distance of 53 miles is going to be pretty close. So again, that should be about 20 minutes. And once we get going out onto the river, a 308, just to make sure we're following the correct thing and we're not accidentally following this. We're not accidentally following this. We want to make sure we're really tracking that 308 pretty dead on. The other thing we can do, we've got a VOR with a very distinctive identifier, as we'll say. 14.4, and we can track into that. I think we're going to try this visually. However, if we do start to doubt our position and distance, we can use this VOR in 114.4, the FYU VOR, the Fort Yukon VOR. So FY, if we get lost, FYU, we'll figure it out. But anyway, so yeah, 51 miles. So again, if we track 150 miles per nautical miles per hour, 150 knots. So this is going to be a third of an hour, aka 20 minutes. So in terms of estimating the time it's going to take, so that we don't overshoot this, I mean, I think we've also, yeah, I mean, there's water everywhere up there, man. So I don't know, we're going to have a lot of distinctive coastline or shoreline, riverbank line to use there. But worst case scenario, we've got the VOR. We can kind of see the main bulk of the river is going to bend and go west. We've got another tributary coming in from the north and east. But man, with all this water happening in the area, I'm just not 100% convinced that following water is going to be the definitive landmark that it often is. So we'll see, but we'll use the VOR we'll use the FYU VOR as a backup in case we get ourselves lost. Let's go ahead and double check our. Yeah, exactly. Good fixins. Make a wrong move, we might hear that sound up there. So we're 600 feet above ground level, above mean sea level, more or less. Yeah, we're reading almost exactly that. We're going to bump it up a little bit so that it reads closer to that 613. But that's pretty close right there. Let's calibrate the directional gyro. We're parked at a 257 or thereabouts. Yeah, about there. We're going to take off on 3-3. Yeah, it's swampy looking up there, says Regen Road Trip. Caution wake turbulence departing Alaska-sized mosquito, indeed. Yeah, in doing some reading about this area, that was something that was mentioned. Alright, there we go. So we got our eagle snatching up a fish there in the background. Alright, very good. Yeah, it's the slant artwork adventure is coming together nicely. Alright, so landing and departing 3-3, we got that calibrated, let's go ahead and get rolling, guys. We're going to go ahead and set flaps for departure. We'll set trim for departure. I got the ticket right now, right? Okay, yeah, good fixins was our winner. And one last final check here. So we're 22.9er for our origin, and then what's the arrival? Yeah, common traffic advisory frequency at our destination is 122.5. Wow, I don't know if I've ever seen a 122.5 before, but we'll have that tuned and ready to go. Okay, and I think we're good to go. Let's get the show back above the road. Regen, what do you want to do to the artwork adventure? Let me know, sir. What's this place called? Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor will be back taxiing runway 33 for a VFR northwestbound departure, Circle City. What was the modification, Regen? Was it the Mosquito or was it something else? All right, we're entering the runway. We're going to go ahead and get strobes on. In an airliner, you'd hold off on the forward-facing forward-facing lights until you're cleared for takeoff. So we'll follow that convention here. And it doesn't necessarily apply to general aviation planes, but just kind of just keep the habits consistent across the aircraft types that we fly. Why not? Strobes will give you that visibility to other traffic that might be approaching the runway from either direction. The landing lights really kind of are the cue for the downfield traffic to know not to cross the runway because you are indeed rolling on your takeoff roll. Alright, landing lights coming on. We'll get spun around here and we'll get going. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's departing runway 33 now for the VFR straight out departure northwest bound Circle City. Alright, takeoff power coming at you. Perfect timing. Alright, obstacle clearance not really an issue, so we'll lower the nose. Get the speed up to 105. Gear can come in. Flaps can come in. Fuel pump. Oh, I never did get pitot heat on. Pitot heat on and fuel pump on should have come on as well with the lights. I forgot. But that's okay. Fuel pump would come back off now. Pitot heat's still on. We can get the RPMs down off the red line. Circle City traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is clear of runway 33, leaving the area to the northwest, Circle City. And airborne at, we'll call it 40 after the hour, 20 till, so right at the...
And lining up runway 33, Circle City.
Right at the top of the hour is basically when we should be... Ooh, I didn't put mixed full rich for that departure either. Whoopsie. Couple of little procedural missteps there. Didn't get pitot heat on until after wheels up, and didn't have the mixed full rich for the departure. That could have been, you know, if we were struggling to maintain altitude, we would have kicked ourselves for that little error there. Okay, Regens wants some Gold Rush supplies. Nearby, we'll go ahead and get that taken care of. Let me get leveled off and trimmed out here, and we'll do that. Okay, 22, 22, and 14, and we'll trim for level at 2500.
Circle City traffic, 14 Papa, departing runway 33, VFR departure to the northwest, Circle City.
Okay, picking up a ton of extra altitude while I'm trying to get the Land Artwork Adventure modification request in, so we'll bring it back down to 2500. Meantime, 22, 22, and 14. And trim down, 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 not up. And then on the map, right-click, open a new tab, and we'll see what we got here at our destination. 4 and 22, 5,000 by 100. Gravel and dirt. Come on, back down to 2,000. What's the field elevation there? 447, so we'll call it basically 500 round figures. Wow. Wow, we are well equipped for this expedition. Look at this. Got the money, we got the lantern, we got the gloves, we got the pan and the bucket. All kinds of other supplies. Nice big pickaxe there. We're serious about this.
Circle City traffic, moving forward to Papa clear the runway, departing the area to the northwest. Last call, Circle City.
Somehow I bumped my frequency, so we're still tuned into the Common Traffic Advisory frequency where we took off from. 2250 is where we're supposed to be tuned to. I don't know if I bumped it off or I never got it set properly in the first place, but 122.5. Variable at 4 is what they're showing in terms of wind, 3027. We'll get the 3027 set. Jake from Area 251 is here. How are you? We want to make a change to the airplane. Okay, we can do that. 3027, we said. And then a 4 and 22. Let's come in. Let's plan on a kind of a 45 to left downwind to runway 22, unless it's a non-standard pattern direction. No, it doesn't say anything about a right pattern anywhere. So let's plan on a let's plan on that being the final. So that'll be our base, and it might not be to scale here. I'm just in terms of setting up the direction. So we'll kind of aim for if we see this big, somewhat round island, that'll kind of be a good reference point to use to set up our 45 to left downwind. So that's what we'll plan on, and that should happen right near the top of the hour. Get it trimmed back out to 25. Them's my shoes. Thus the plane looked way cooler than I would in that beanie, right? Yeah. I typically don't think of myself as a hat guy either. As we mentioned, temperature 17 Celsius. That's mid 60s. I definitely would not be. I definitely would not be that bundled up from mid 60s. Not even close. Oh, them's my shoes. Has a little menage a trois there with the streak. Thank you for that. Appreciate the continued support. All right, let's get the let's get Jake's request in here. I'm going to save myself some typing and just copy it directly. little bit of course correction here. A couple notches of down trim. Okay, working on that. Meantime, we picked up a few extra 100 feet there, so I'm gonna couple more notches of down trim. Ooh, my manifold pressure snuck up as well, or maybe I never got it set down. Running a little more wide open than we ordinarily would, so and that's not that big a deal. Just slightly less fuel efficient, perhaps, or unless I bump the lever. But 22, and 14 gallons an hour is what I normally like to do. It's possible that I just never really got it set properly if I wasn't paying enough attention, and that might be why we're picking up the extra altitude there. Yeah, Texas Flyboy, kind of same, man, kind of same. Except for mid-60s, I'd probably be in shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah, likewise. Alright, let's give it one more minute. It's still working on it. Part of that was just my slow typing, so I apologize for that, but it's still... As of 5150, it's still working on it. I'm going to give it another couple minutes, and it doesn't resolve here in the next minute or two. Either we'll hit refresh, or I'll stop it and give it a nudge to wake it up. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, it's coming in now. It did pretty good. It had a little difficulty figuring out where to put the hat. So it kind of stretched it over the one entire wing. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's a little bit of distortion here on the left wing, like it doesn't quite match up. But it's got the whole right wing stretched out. We got the deer antlers on the struts. Man, they really did this up. I mean, you gave a pretty good description of what you wanted there, and it kind of took you word for word. That's a good one. It has a 180 windshield on it. I'm not sure that I would know the difference. Let me rephrase. I'm sure that I would not know the difference. That's pretty good, though. I mean, you got to cut it a little bit of slack, right? I think it knocked that out of the park. It may not have you always have to kind of cut it a little bit slack with the anatomically correct details of an aircraft. I mean, I know even the Comanche, the Comanche that it started with, the nose, the shape of the nose and the intake wasn't quite right. But I mean, you know, gosh, if you're going to be that picky, you're you're definitely playing along with the wrong activity. But yeah, I think it did pretty well with that. Yeah, right, and it even labeled the tires, right? Good stuff. Alright, well, we should be about 5 minutes out. The field is going to be... The field is going to be... yeah, so we got this larger round island, and the field's going to be to our right. So Regen Road Trip, interesting question. It says, do you give it reference images on the first prompt? I give it a reference image only on me. I give it a picture of myself, or if we're doing a picture with the furry co-pilots, I give it a picture of the dogs. Other than that, no. I give it no other reference images. It comes up with all the other visuals on its own. But for example, this is the picture that I used. This is me in my office. You can see my trade certification in the background and some marketing materials for the agency I work for. That's me in my office. That's the picture that I gave it. But yeah, that's the only reference that I give it, is I give it a picture of myself, or I give it a picture of the dogs, or both, depending on what the setup is. Ooh, this might be the island that we're trying to set up on for our 45 to downwind. Let's go ahead and get over to the Fort Yukon traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is about 5 miles south, 2,700 descending. We're going to set up on a 45 left downwind to runway 22 full stop Fort Yukon. Now the funny thing is, I said all that. I'm just going off of thinking that I'm over the island. I didn't see the airport. Is it up there? Oh, am I early? Is it right? Is it right in here somewhere? Yeah, it might be like right in there. There's something. Field elevation there is 500, we said. So we want to get down about 1,000 feet. Where are we steering here? We're steering pretty much a 305. Alright, well, let's get that reflected properly on our directional gyro. Once we get to that 45, we really want to kind of be turning northbound. Alright, so pattern elevation 1500. And then we should be turning northbound in order to get on the 45. I mean, honestly, we can set that green arrow like right on that mark there. There's our 45-degree mark. That's one of the benefits of having the arrow set to the runway direction, that you can use these little marks around the dial as your reference points for your patterns. So I'm not 100% convinced that like I'm setting up on the correct island. It might be further up here. I do feel like there's something right here that we're setting up for. I don't know. I thought I saw some streams, some buildings there, but now I see streams. Okay, well let's abort out of this then. Let's get back into a climb. Let's go ahead, yeah.
Pardon me. Where am I?
Like we've never asked that on a river run stream before. Like I said before, we've always got that fallback of the FYU VOR. So, are we lost? FYU, we can navigate. 114.4. Tune that in. And we'll flip that up to distance. Ah, we're 12 miles. Yeah, we're 12 miles. Yeah, I set up early. Okay. No problem. Fort Yukon traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, cancel our last call. We are 11 miles south and east, climbing back to 2,500, Fort Yukon. Alright, 24. 24. Yeah, there's our 2,500. Let's bring that power back down. Bring it a little extra down. We'll go 20 and 20. Okay, now I can kind of see where there's the river that bends to the left, and there's another tributary that kind of branches off to the right here. Okay, so this makes more sense in terms of aligning with what we were expecting. So where's the big island, the big round island that we were supposed to set up on? Was it this, maybe? Yeah, that's my guess. Okay, well, let's try this again. Fort Yukon traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's 8 miles south, 2,500. We're descending 1,500. Going to set up for a 45 to left downwind runway 22 full stop. Fort Yukon. Beautiful call until I forgot where we were. Alright, once again, going to drop some power out. Now again, if you've ever driven a manual transmission car and you're coming up to a crest of a hill that you know is going to be kind of steep downgrade on the other side, and you downshift the car, or especially if it's a bigger truck, you downshift it to a lower gear in order to kind of keep the friction of the engine turning to help you keep the speed under control without relying all on your brake pads. That's basically what we're doing here. Obviously, the brake pads aren't a consideration at this moment, but we're downshifting to a lower gear. We're off of the gas, right? We're putting less throttle in, but we've got the crankshaft turning at a higher speed. So the RPMs crank up, but we're off of the gas. And that's analogous to what we're doing in the aircraft. We're backing the power down, even though the engine's spinning at a higher rate. Now, fuel pump we already got on. Yeah, we have not deployed gear and flaps just yet. We don't really need to. So let's set up off of the bottom end of this island. This is looking more analogous to what I marked. Okay, so bottom end of this island, and then almost a 010. Set up that 45 to downwind. I mean, really, truly, to be a 45 degree, it's a 04 and a 22. The 45 should be at a 355 heading. Do the math properly, and that's assuming that the runway is exactly at 220. So plus or minus a few degrees is fine. All right, 1500 is where we want to be. We want to be turning onto a essentially due north heading off of the bottom tip of this island, and we're 3 miles south. 1500. Okay, so the good news is we're at pattern altitude as we're joining the pattern. That's always a safer way to join anyway, right? You don't want to be descending into the pattern and accidentally descend on top of someone, particularly if you're in a low-wing aircraft. Your best visibility of anyone else being in the pattern with you that you didn't hear make a call is to be at the same altitude as they are. Port Yukon traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's 2.5 miles south, and joining a 45 to left downwind for runway 22, full stop. Port Yukon. Ooh, this is it right here, maybe?
Yeah, Port Yukon traffic, Bonanza 114 West Papa is 4 miles south. We're gonna make a 45 center left downwind for
Look
runway
at this
22,
loop.
Port Yukon.
This little loop of lake, or river, or whatever it is, that comes up right up to the runway. And yep, that is exactly what we're seeing here. Oh, we got the green and white beacon now, too. Okay, so dirt, mud, riverbank. This airport's got it all. Alright, but we are left downwind midfield now. Port Yukon traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind midfield for runway 22 full stop, Port Yukon. That means you guys need to start putting some predictions into the chat as far as the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch runway surface. There's no bot command necessary for that on this channel, just a number into the chat. We'll know that you mean a descent rate either way. And the closest predictor gets an automatic entry into our monthly landing rate raffle, next drawing June 24th. Get
I'm gonna need some pliers and a set of 30-weight ball bearings.
There's
What do you
Melvin.
need ball bearings for?
It's all ball bearings nowadays.
Okay, so we're beam the numbers. We're gonna run it out another mile or so. Maybe right to the edge of this clearing here. Second notch of flaps, slight reduction of power. We can start descending just a little. Port Yukon, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind to left base, runway 22 full stop, Port Yukon. Okay, final notch. Yeah, overshot the turn slightly. Let's just do a real quick level, make sure we're not seeing anybody on final, and then let's get back into our turn from base to final. Bring the power back. Let's get the speed down to about 80.
Yukon 114 West Papa. We're gonna extend left downwind for 22, let the landing traffic clear.
Okay, we're a little high according to the poppy lights, so we'll let the plane drop a little bit, but I think we're looking good. We should be pretty close to seeing a set of reds here. You can come in tight. I think we're going to roll it down to the end.
Roger that. Port Yukon traffic 114 West Papa, left base for 22.
Looks like the parking pad's down there at the end on the left. Alright, so the lights still say we're slightly high. Okay, there we go. Now we're red and white. We're clear of the treetops here. Speed's right about 80, that's where we want it. Little bit of a crab to the right, it looks like. Maybe not. Windsock's looking pretty flaccid there. Okay, drop the power out, level the nose, not too much. Overflared it just a touch, but I think we're okay. Okay, we're down.
Port Yukon traffic 114 West Papa, final for 22, Port Yukon.
Gotta keep the rollout speed up a little bit so good fixins can come in behind us. Fort Yukon traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor clear, runway 22, Fort Yukon. Okay, strobes off, landing lights, pitot, fuel pump off, lap stowed. RPMs to 1,000, mix dropped to right to the point where it starts to drop RPMs. I guess it would have been polite of me to go to where the marshallers were standing, but I didn't see them until just now. Alright, parking brake on. RPMs to 1,000. Did Fixits make it down yet? There he is. He's rolling on in here. Okay, very good. Alright, well, we made it. Took us a second attempt because we needed that little assistance from the VOR to see that we were here and not, I don't know, down. What did I line up off of? This one maybe? Came up over here and I was like, I don't see an airport here.
Clear 22 for Yukon.
Yeah, we saw probably this little squiggle and I was like, oh, I thought there were some buildings there and there one. But that's okay. That's what you know. VFR flying, man, you use whatever information you got. You use your eyeballs, you use your stopwatch, you use your compass, you use what you see out the window. But yeah, ultimately you can use whatever form of navigation you want. Really a combination of all of the above. All right, well, let's figure out what the stats look like for that final landing and who's the final entrant into our raffle. Oh, it scored us pretty well. It scored us a 96 out of 100. Crab angle, you know, none. So yeah, I think I've got to get a better sense of the reference point. You know, maybe like kind of right of this rivet, left of this rivet is kind of the reference point. Maybe, I don't know. We'll work on that. 54 was the number that you all were trying to predict. Let's kind of play it out and see. Yeah, so I did overflare just a tiny little bit. Just a little bit of a rise there. What are we were at? We were at 9. Oh, okay. We didn't really. Yeah, so I leveled, but I didn't really rise. 9 and then on down. Okay, good. Well, that wasn't too bad then. You know, just very slightly right of center line. And crab angle. Minimal, really none. And then what was it in terms of pitch? You know, I think that's the thing for me is I tend to pitch up too much. Whereas I pitched it a little bit more level. So not quite to 5 degrees. Yeah. That peaked right at 5 degrees just as we touched down. Just after we touched down, the pitch came up. But yeah, I think overall that was a pretty good one. Oh, no wind data. That's funny. We don't know what the crosswind was. So 54. Who had the closest? What do we have? We got 76, 31, 45, 81. Oh, we got a 54 right there. Awesome. Well, Papa Charlie, that garners you a double entry. Where are we? Oh yeah. Papa Charlie gets a double entry, and he says FYU. Everyone else. What is it? 6-1. Alright, got you one entry in, and PFYU on 6-1. Alright, well, not too bad. Happy with the final result at the very least. But let's get the plane shut down, and then we'll talk about what's coming up on the stream. We got a lot of little program notes to go over. We touched on them earlier, but just to recap at the end here, we'll touch on them again. Let's go ahead and get the radios all turned off. And the avionics off. Let's do a minor run-up. We'll blip the magneto switch down just to make sure that the mag switch leads do indeed kill power to the mags. Okay, that is confirmed. Go ahead and ease the power all the way out then. And then the mixer cut off as well. With that having been done, we can go ahead and cut the mags off the rest of the way. The fuel valves, nav lights, beacon lights, and battery off. Go ahead and set up our control lock, and then we'll jump out of the aircraft and we'll do a walk around, not as an inspection per se, but just to wrap up, get the aircraft tied down and secured and ready to go here. So we'll get the tie down, wheel chocks. Wheel chocks, tie down. Ito cover. Yeah, nothing back there. There's our final tie down. And then we can grab the stuff out. Close that back up. And then we can close this up. And latch it up. Alright, well. There we go. Concluding our third episode of River Run, Yukon River. 5th season of our River Run series that we've done. And we're going to continue that. We bumped the next episode we were going to do on June the 22nd. We bumped that back into July. So what happened, if you missed the beginning of the stream, I was explaining all this. I was touting for weeks. I'm like, oh, in June we're going to get right back to our Monday, Wednesday, Friday sequence, which is going to be awesome. And then, of course, the more I said it, the more I jeopardized it. And in fact, on this coming Wednesday, I now have another obligation that I've got to meet. So, will not be streaming for you on Wednesday. I was hoping very, very much to bring the PNDG DC6 back to you on Wednesday. That is now going to happen on this coming Monday. The stream we were going to do this coming Monday was to finish up the Atlanta ARTCC's Pilot Passport Challenge. That is now going to June 22nd, and then June 22nd was going to be the next River Run. That is now being bumped into July. So this one stream kind of caused a domino effect. So I won't see you Wednesday. We'll be back with you on Friday. Friday will be our air traffic control stream. We've got the Friday Night Ops that's being co-hosted by the Washington and the Salt Lake ARTCCs. We go under Pilot Tools and Events Calendar. Pilot Tools, I said, and Events Calendar, I said. The National Parks and National Monuments Friday Night Ops event. So National Parks, portion of that being hosted by Salt Lake City. The National Monuments being hosted by our very own Washington ARTCC. We will be staffing up our three majors, Dulles, Reagan, and BWI. And I will most likely be working that air traffic control sector, approach and departure sector around Baltimore. So BWI arrivals and departures, and then we also kind of handle first stage descent into DCA for the Clipper, Skills, and Deal arrivals into DC. That's what I expect to be working on Friday, but that's not been formally assigned just yet. So that's just my best guess at the moment. That'll be our next stream on Friday, so I'll miss you Wednesday, but then Monday we'll bring back the DC6. And I'm telling you guys, I'm so happy. I've done some tinkering. With the control setup for the DC6. I was not using SPAD.next when I flew the DC6 before. I had a decent control setup through FSUI PC7 for that in flights in 2020. But with SPAD.next, I've got a lot more. It's a little easier to kind of figure out the conditional settings where you have certain set of switches that do one thing if this other switch is in this position, but they do something else if this other switch is in a different position. So it's kind of conditional assignments, and you can. I find it a lot easier to do that in SPAD than I did in FSUI PC, and so I've got some pretty nifty setups on my switches in the Honeycomb Bravo in terms of the DC6. So it's going to be a lot easier to go through the startup procedure, and it'll be a lot easier at cruise to switch from rich to lean, and I'll show you all that stuff on Monday before we're going to do a two-hopper in the aircraft into and out of Tallahassee, Florida, as the Jacksonville ARTCC will be hosting one of their what do they even call that? Sunshine Spotlight series. They're going to be hosting that on Monday in Tallahassee, a week from tonight. So we'll do a two-hopper into and then back out of Tallahassee. I haven't decided origin and destination just yet. But we'll take some time at the beginning of that stream to kind of show you the control assignments that I have in. It's pretty nifty. It's going to be kind of cool. It's going to be a lot easier, I think, to go through some of those procedures. Transitioning into and out of cruise, and then, of course, the startup and then the landing sequence, I think, will be a lot easier. So, and I found out how to assign a lever to the carb heat. So we can set it up with the realistic carb icing, and then we'll have to monitor carb heat. Your carb temperatures on the way down as we reduce power. So yeah, just getting a little bit more realistic in that aircraft with the control assignments, a few more things at the fingertips, and we'll tinker with that just a little bit more between now and a week from tonight, just so I can try to get some of the autopilot functions set up, which is kind of the last thing that I haven't really set up at all. Those are easy enough to do by mouse, but it would be fun to be able to do some of that with the hardware here. So anyway. Long story short, TLDR, or TLDL, too long didn't listen. Friday air traffic control, Monday DC6, and the full show schedule's underneath the About tab. It's also over on our Discord server, so please feel free to check that out. The normal show schedule Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 2300 Zulu Time. Don't forget that on Saturday, this coming Saturday, we've got an extra stream for you. The Virtual USA Flying Club hosts its 4th annual virtual air show. That is going to be broadcast over on the Jeffrey B channel. And I'm going to put the link to that into the chat here. And if I could type, it'd be perfect. Anyway, so the Virtual USA Flying Club is going to be on the Jeffrey B channel. That's where you want to be 1 p.m. on Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so 1700 Zulu Time. A half an hour before that, though, pop into this channel. I am part of a 5-ship formation that is going to be the first act in that air show. So if you want to pop in and get a little bit of the behind the scenes of us getting set up to take the runway right first thing out of the gate as that air show kicks off. Start here at 12:30. Watch. I really highly encourage you to watch the show from Jeffrey B's broadcast, because he's going to have all kinds of different camera views. He really sets up that show, directs it like a professional air show broadcast, and even provides commentary and kind of filler patter as well. So he really does a super job with it. You're going to want to watch his broadcast starting at 1. But at least have mine going starting at 12:30, and then at 1 o'clock move mine off to the side and kind of watch both. we'll have the in-cockpit view of that formation flight, 5-ship formation that will be the first act, and I'm flying the slot position. I'm flying the number 4, so hopefully if I hold the position well enough, and that's a big if, you'll have a pretty good view of the 1, 2, and 3 right in front of me, and then number 5 will be behind me. He won't be in sight most of the time. We've got a number of formation passes and then a couple of in-trail passes, and it should be a pretty good show to kick off that 4th annual Virtual USA Flying Club Air Show. Again, that's Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1700 Zulu Time, with the behind-the-scenes pre-show starting at 12:30 Eastern, 16:30 Zulu here on my stream. All right, so that kind of gives you the rundown of what's coming up. Let's figure out who we're sending a raid over to. Oh, hold on a second. It looks like the jump seat is still up and flying. That is our very good friend Mustafa, as well as our friend Sim Caesar. They're doing a little bit of a shared cockpit flight. They do that on this channel called The Jump Seat, and they are still flying. It looks like they might be starting to... they look like they might be up at cruise still. Yeah, they're still at 30-something thousand feet. Looks like they're in the 737, maybe the Zebo. Yeah, maybe the Zebo mod. They do say in the title that they're an X-Plane 12. It looks very much like a 737, so I'm assuming it's the Zebo mod. But we'll shoot you over to them. They're a lot of fun, and I hope that you enjoy their channel. Tell them that Slant Alpha sends his love, and then we will see you back, again, off Wednesday, but we'll see you back on Friday, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, from the radar room, most likely of the Potomac Tracon. And as that gets closer, we'll confirm exactly what air traffic control position I'll be working. But between now and then, I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you on the tail end of it. Tell Moose and Sim Caesar that Slanty says hello, and then we'll catch you Friday, guys. Thanks very kindly for riding along with us on our river run, and we'll talk to you soon. Be happy, healthy, and safe in all your travels and adventures in the meantime, and take care, friends. Good night.